Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Round 1, Season 2 of the Divine Eye Racing Series Division 1. My name is Olaf, aka Wops Racing, and I'll be your commentator for tonight as we have our opening round here in Austin with brand new season, brand new teams. We have some brand new drivers in there as well, as some of the drivers have switched teams. For example, Paddy moved over to Mercedes after having a beautiful, beautiful stint at Alfa Romeo last season, winning out on the Constructors' Championship. Unfortunately, our champion Kaka has left for this season, has given his seat over to Sparrow and Jaspers in the Alfa Romeo now. So there's a lot of things that have been changed, but the one thing that has not changed is McLaren. We have Marios and Mihu still on top, still in that McLaren, ready to try and fight for that championship again. First up, we have this that I'm going to turn on real quick, so we can see the current lap delta, the current lap time, I should say, and the delta towards the previous laps being set, which is going to help us real well when we're looking at who's going to be dropped in qualifying today. Short qualifying, it's going to be Q1 into a 50% race. As we have some sprint weekends, it's a total of 12 rounds this season, as with the previous season as well. Every 3 rounds we have 1 sprint race, so 2 rounds of a short qualifying followed by a 50% race, and then 1 round of a one-shot qualifying with a sprint race, and then a 50% feature race. So, Tronzik, first driver out on track, first driver to be setting a lap. Actually, we'll let one of the Haas drivers go. That seems to be Yuri. That is not Yuri, that's the other. That is Scottish. We've seen in the Mercedes last season a few times. Out on the mediums, that is a very interesting thing to see. So we have Robinho and Tronzik, Sparrow and Scottish all out on medium tires. Maybe doing the one thing that the Steps was so famous for last season. Going out on the mediums first and then sending a lap time on the softs after. In this qualifying, we have enough time to look at the driver changes, the driver swaps, as well as looking at those that stayed the same. Like Smith in the AlphaTauri. We have Naismith still in the Red Bull. Tutschke in the Ferrari, paired up now with Divine Eye, leaving Mercedes and going to Ferrari, making the Lewis Hamilton move. As there's already a yellow flag in Sector 1, which looks to be in Turn 1. As we might have some Alfa Romeos there tangling for who gets to go first. That should be happening outside of the timed lap now. Scottish going over the line. So that ruins his lap. Tronzik still within limits, or we'll be looking at his lap right now. The Arkid, Shermanator both in the Alpine. Also seen them before. Let's see. Wazza moved from Ferrari as Divine Eye took over his seat and now moved to the Red Bull, which is a very interesting move as well. The reverse Vettel, so to say. Trying to see what he can do. Now, this league is an equal performance league, so the car does not matter in terms of performance. The only thing that matters is the design of the car. The performance is the same for all the teams, all the cars, but the wheelbase length varies from car to car, and that can change a little bit in handling. So some drivers will have the car that they wanted, the car that works for them, and some drivers will choose for the car that they support, the team that they support. Tronzik across the line, sets the first lap of the season, and it's a 1:34.5. Jaspers following in with a 35.8, Sparrow 37.2, and that seems to be the result of the tangle that they had in turn 1 as Jan goes over the line with the 1:33.8, setting the bar a bit higher now. So it looks like Paddy now starting his lap as well in the Mercedes. Our Constructors champion, and also a very, very good finish for him in the Drivers' Championship for Season 1. Robinho, first race with us here putting it up front with a 33.4. Wazaa still adapting to the new car. Divine Ice doing the same. Seem to not be up to speed yet. Interestingly enough, Robinho has set his lap time with a medium tire, which means that there's a lot of time to be gained still, purely on tire choice. 17 drivers now all out on track. We have all 20 drivers with us tonight, so that is one of the better things that will be happening. As Yuri puts at 32.5, I was going to continue my sentence by saying that there's going to be a lot, and I mean a lot, of track limits violations. Looking out. Because if we look at Remix right here, let's quickly hop on board. And we can see that you take a lot of curb here. This is an outlap even. We'll go hop on board with someone who is on a fast lap approaching this in a moment. Yuri is there. That means that Scottish is just set the lap time. We're going to have to wait to see a little bit. Maybe we go on board with Remix or Smith as they are approaching their lap. Here we go. Smith warming up now. The final bit of the track. Going off the track, lagging the game very, very hard because of all the particles and stuff. Going into the final corner. Looking to set a good lap in. There he goes. We'll be looking on board with him through the first sector, so you can see how close the corners are. You can see it in the minimap already. There's very light turns, which means that the drivers will be going through this almost flat out the entire time. Maybe some lift and coast, but definitely no braking. As we go on board, and we can see here how much curb the drivers take. And there could be even more taken. I feel like Smith really is holding in a little bit. There we go. There's another one that he cut very, very far. So some of these turns can be taken very aggressively. You can cut the track quite far. But if you go a little bit too far off the track, the lap time will be invalidated. You'll get a... That's for qualifying. During the race, you'll get a warning. At 3 warnings, you get a 3-second time penalty. Now, Austin is one of those tracks where this happens quite often. So, hopefully we won't see too much of these warnings. But if they do, it won't be too bad. Only a 3-second time penalty. They're glad they don't drive in a GT3 league. Because in GT3s, if you go over 4 times in total, you will get a drive-through penalty. So that is definitely a lot more aggressive than the penalties here. But 3 seconds can still mean a lot in these races. We've seen races being decided within a second. As we see a Red Bull spun in Sector 3, that is, at the start of Sector 3. Is that Naismith? That was indeed Naismith going off the track there. Maybe he let his teammate through, or maybe he just had a moment. Whatever the cause is, he'll be going into the pits as Smith puts his lap time all the way up to 3rd with a 33.3, which is 8/10 off of current provisional pole, which was set with the soft tire. Robinho in 5th position, currently on an outlap on the softs. You can see here, these are the current tires that the drivers are using. Everyone is on the softs, and here's the lap times that have been set with their respective tires. So Robinho's lap time has been set with the medium tire. Going to take a quick look at that delta throughout the lap on your top right. You see Robinho, out lap, it's going to say lap 2, 3, I believe one of the two. And it will have the lap time there with the delta as soon as he crosses a timing line. So we'll be able to see that as he goes on. But for now, still on that outlap, trying to heat up the tires. Looks like there's a small sunset going on here. Temperatures will be dropping a little bit, which means that the drivers have to spend a little bit more time warming up the tires as we're almost... Correction, we are already halfway through the first and only qualifying session, and Marios is still in the pits. We saw from last season Kaká staying in the pits the entire session, and on the final 2 minutes, going out, setting 1 lap time, and then being done with it. And maybe Marios thinks, hey, that's the strategy of the champion. We will be incorporating that one here too. Robinho starting his flyer. On the final corner, full throttle, wing open, and there we go. So be careful to look at the top right of your screen. It says Sector 1 currently has the timer running, and we'll be able to see the delta there on the right side as well as he crosses the line. Remember, the lap that he has set is on the medium tire, so with this lap we'll be able to see the difference in pace between the softs and the mediums for this track. On low fuel, of course, and with brand new tires. So it's going to be a bit different during the race, but it's pretty representable. Coming up to the hairpin. There's going to be a big overtaking zone into the hairpin, but also at the end of this straight. A few big zones to look out for in that case. The hairpin, of course, where the corner after this straight, where Robinho is currently heading up to. The final turn is also quite a big braking zone. Be careful to see a few of those dives there, and also, of course, into turn 1, as is with most tracks. Robinho currently 4 tenths up already. That is not enough. He needs 5 more tenths to be able to put it on the front row, and just over 5 tenths to put it on pole, as Yuri has currently set a banger of a lap time, currently 4.5 tenths clear of P2. Exactly 4.5 tenths, that is, on pole position. Robinho through the final corner. Can he do anything to attack Arkid or even Yuri? Way up at the front, crossing the line into second place. He does improve by 8 tenths, just 1.5 tenths shy of that provisional pole position. But it's not over yet. We still have 6 minutes to go. He can go very quickly to the pits and then back out on new tires if he thinks he can improve, and there's definitely room to do that. But now Arkid has been attacked, needs 3 tenths, already improved 1.5 in Sector 2. We saw Robinho improve by double what he did in Sector 1 and 2 in Sector 3. So if Arkid does the same, that front row is his once again. But he invalidates in the final corner, which means that this lap does not count and he has to start again. But I don't know if he has enough fuel to make it through another lap and then still be able to come in. And unfortunately, this lap has also been invalidated, as the track cut was on the final corner, which is too close to starting a new lap, which means that Arkid's lap has been invalidated. Only 3.5 minutes remaining. He has to go back into the pits as quickly as he can. Actually, 5 minutes remaining. I am very blind. So he has a little bit more margin than I thought he would have. As we see Divine Eye jump up to 15th, improving by 3 tenths. Not really settling into that Ferrari very well. In the Mercedes, he had a much better result so far. We've seen Alfa Romeo going over the final line. That would be F1 Dyno, as he improves by 8 tenths. Jumps up to 8th. Leaving the Mercedes drivers in 9th and 10th. Remix on an outlap as well. Trying to make that 9th position history and getting a better jump out of that. We have Scottish now also rounding up after invalidating. So he'll be going back into the pits. We see Ryu now zooming past and also going back into the pits. I keep catching drivers on the end of their laps. Is that F1 down? That is not. That is Robinho. Going very slowly in here. Sparrow also invalidating his lap. So, like I said, it's track limit central here. Jan having the exact same, going back into the pits as well. Probably the same case for Arkid. Yep, we saw that before. So he'll be going into the pits as well. Divine Eye just finished up a lap, so I doubt he'll be doing another one right now. Then we have Remix on the out lap. Behind him we have F1 Dyno, who just jumped up to 8th. Currently not on a lap, as we see from his speed currently. So we'll be looking at Remix. Currently 9th in qualifying. Starting his lap. See if he can improve on that in any way, shape or form. 33.590 currently on the clock. Half a second improvement. Only 4 tenths improvement would put him all the way up to P5 from P9. So he does not need that much for big improvement, but he does need almost an entire second. He actually needs more than a second to get on provisional pole. But look at that. Yuri just exited the pits. It's going to be chaos for these final minutes. Mariel's now finally out as well, starting his lap. So we'll be looking at him after Remix crosses the line. Currently doing very well to get the lap going. Wing open. There's also on this track, the same as with several other tracks we saw in the previous season, that there's two ways you can go about this. It's a low wing versus high wing. Remix currently improving by 1/10, which is not enough, but a lot of drivers have improvement in the final sector. So let's hope Remix also has that. So that low arrow setup will help drivers a lot on the start-finish straight, the back straight, and maybe even in the S's, as it's a very light steering input, but it will hurt them very much outside of that. Sector 3, for example, mid-high speed corner, you need a lot of aerodynamics to be able to push it through all the way cleanly. Remix crossing the line now, improving by 2.5 tenths, jumping all the way up to 6th from 9th. So that is the improvement that he can make in just one lap. Mario's now invalidating and slowing down, maybe saving some fuel so we can go for another lap, but there's not that much time remaining. If you could only remove that yellow flag, keep driving, I can see the lap time that we still need. It's about 1 minute 24, so he still has time to do a lap, but it's not going to be much that he has left. Scottish now starting a lap as well, currently P4, wants to make it a front row for Haas. Yuri also on out lap as Sparrow retires from the session, locking in that 17th place, which should be 19th, as Marios and Swanee are still on the way to the lap, and we know how fast these two guys are. We know how fast they can be. Scottish looking to go on the offense here. Already half a second down on his previous time. He must be on old tires. No, he's not. He is on new tires. Look at Tronzik. Still, the lap time that he has is on mediums. For Sparrow, the same. Now that I look at it. Sparrow has set a lap time on 2-lap-old mediums. Or has set a lap on mediums. I don't know if that's 2 laps old or not, but it is on the mediums. Which is very curious to see in a qualifying session right before he retires. Maybe saving up some tire sets for the race, which is also very important, as the strategy will be shown right at the start. It all depends on how many drivers are starting on the softs, how many are starting on the mediums, and how many are starting on the hards. Checkered flag goes out. Mihu is locked in 11th. Waza is locked in 17th. Remix 6th, but going down to 7th. Dutchkey goes into 5th. Scottish barely able to keep it in, and then he invalidates in the final corner, not able to improve. And that lap was not improving anyway. On to Yuri. On pole currently. We see Robinho right behind him, and Arkid behind that. Yuri currently improving by 1.5 tenths through the final corner. Not going over the track limits. Improved by 3 more tenths. Setting in 132.2. Making it very, very, very difficult for other drivers to even try and contest it. Robinho sending it over the line. Improves by a tenth, but it's not enough. A 32.5. And we see a lot of drivers going out of the way to see if they can give space to the other drivers still coming through. Swanee now putting it in 14th. Like I said, not finished yet, but should be able to get another lap in. Arkid now around the final corners. See if he can do anything to attack. And he cannot. Almost an exact same time as before. As Marios goes over the line, but has his lap time invalidated. Which means that he does not get a lap time and has to start all the way at the back. Last place. The only driver now still out is Swanee, who will be crossing the line, going into the pits. Also an alternative And here we have our standings for the start of the race. Yuri taking pole position with a 32.2, gapping P2 by 0.3. Robinho in second, Arkid in third, Scottish in fourth, Tushki in fifth. The gap from first to fifth is 0.8. So there's a big delta between these drivers in the first round. At the end of the season, last season, at the end, we saw a big jump from performance from drivers between the first few rounds and the final few rounds. We saw a big difference in the middle of the season, but at the end of the season, it was much tighter. That can still change within this season as well. As here we go. Here we have the standings. The complete field is being split by 3 full seconds. We see Sparrow with the medium tire setting a lap, 35.3. So 3 seconds between first and last place. 19th place, of course, because Marios has not set a lap time, which puts McLaren on the back foot for this season. For the start of the season, I should say. As Haas is looking extremely competitive, putting it in first and fourth compared to what they were in last season. They didn't really make that many jumps last season. Alfa Romeo, of course, jumping way back from being in first all the way down now. Ferrari as well, Tuchki in fifth. And we saw Divine Eye struggling on this track. Did not look like he was having a very good time down there. But points are not given for qualifying. Points are given for racing. And that's exactly what we're going to do after we wait for all the drivers to get their setups ready. To get their fuel ready. Everything they need to succeed. And as with all sessions, all races, all new beginnings, we already see some drivers making small mistakes. I just got word that Smith used the wrong setup for the track, which could explain his lack of qualifying pace. Maybe the setup will work better during the race, but we only have one way to find out, and that is to go racing. Which means that we wait for the drivers. It's a long wait. The go-ahead has been given, which means that drivers will be starting to ready up anytime now. And we'll get going in a minute. For now, though, we're going to look ahead and see if Haas can get that 1-2. They didn't get it in qualifying, but they might get it in the race. Yuri up front, dominant performance in qualifying. Might just be luck, might be entirely skill. But we'll find out today. New drivers, new teams. Anything can happen on the field. I hope to see some good racing. That's all I need. That's all I need. I don't need some big last to first. Well, if Rios can make it happen, that would be great for McLaren. As he is starting way at the back. So here we go. The formation lap is a go. You see Yuri here at the front. Robinho in second place. Arkid in third, and then Scottish in fourth. Gonna have to get used to the new teams. I almost wanted to put Scottish in the Mercedes there. But for him, currently the Haas. Starting tires, almost everyone has gone on the mediums. Smith, Divine Eye, and Jaspers on the softs, maybe trying to gain an edge on that. Especially Smith, considering he has the wrong setup for this track. Putting in 8th in qualifying, a very impressive performance in that regard. Remix on the hards as the only driver out there. Maybe trying to extend the stint as long as possible. Seeing what he can do. Marios on the mediums. Not willing to attack too hard. Might be looking for some easy picks off the back on that same tire. Following Jaspers through the rest of the grid. Smith trying to make up for lost time with the setup by using the softer compound. And we saw some great performances from last season where drivers like Remix were constantly fighting at the front. Currently Remix down in 10th. Maybe has to get used to that Mercedes, the way the car drives, the way the car feels. Or maybe it's just not his track. We'll have to see. As the drivers are rounding out the track. Their exploration lap. Their warm-up lap. As they're getting ready to park it on the grid and start the first round of Season 2 of the Divine iRacing series. Yuri slowly making his way up to his box, up to his slot, to pole position. It's not the box is in the pit lane. Luckily he's not standing there, that would be awful. Lining it up correctly there to get him the edge in the start of the race. Marios now slotting at the back. We see him there on the right side of your screen, almost going out as the F1 cameras are pretty bad. Going to look at Yuri. Waiting for the lights. Currently getting ready. Kicking on the engine as the lights go on. And we're away for Season 2. Yuri getting a pretty good start. Looks like he's already cut off Robinho there, way in the inside, going back through. So there's some shuffling. Robinho now falling behind a little bit. Going for the switchback, almost sticking it side by side there with Yuri, but not able to do that just yet. We see a car gone off there, and it looks like to be F1 Dyno as he's off the track, retired from the session, and there has been a full course yellow that's been called, and that looks like a virtual safety car as Scottish has drawn back in one position, Tushki gaining one as well from that, and already quite some chaos. If we look at the positions gained and lost, we see Mihu going down one, Smith as well, Scottish too, and a lot of drivers going up because of this. Wazar took the position off of Divine Eye, and Remix took the position off of Smith. The rest gained some because of the exit of F1 Dyno. So a good start for Tuchki here. Has to be wary on the restart that Scottish will be looking at his rear, looking to get that position back that he fought for so hard in qualifying. Virtual safety car is ending. That means that Yuri will be pulling away as far as he can as Divine Eye gets a 5-second time penalty for a severe collision with Waza. Don't think he's looking at much damage. Don't think Waza's looking at any damage either. The penalty might be removed later on, as we know that the rules here, the penalties can be very strict under the safety car. Scottish looking very tight to the rear end of Tuchki. Paddy following through as well as the safety car has been lifted and they're rounding the final corner. Now Scottish having a very bad exit there. Yuri trying to break the slipstream, but it's not needed as he's so far up. Shermanator falling back a few positions as he's been caught out by this safety car. Tushki safely in front. Paddy following down Scottish. Remix getting hunted down now by the AlphaTauris. Smith and Jan both driving very closely behind all of this. Luckily for Yuri, he's able to pull away. Scottish now very, very close to Tutschke. Looking for that overtake. Might just take it in the slipstream on the back straight. Tutschke has a very good exit through that corner. Maybe a different line through the hairpin there, as we see Tronzik looking to get something done as well. Sparrow now overtaking Divine Eye into the hairpin. Here we see Scottish looking for the dive, looking for something that can make it happen. Smith overtaking Remix there. One of the AlphaTauris getting past. Now very well defended as well. A clean overtake there. Paddy going on the attack as well. Scottish is caught off guard, looking all attack but no defense. And has to look in his mirrors as Paddy just showed up to claim that position. Got denied by the defense. Lap 2 just completed. Tutschke getting very wide there. Yuri pulling a very big gap. You saw that up front as he's putting in the fastest lap. A 36.0. Currently getting that bonus point as well. DRS is enabled starting from the next DRS detection zone. Paddy looking aggressive here. Swanee as well. Close to Naismith there. Into turn 1. Everyone still within the DRS except for Robinho. He's been cut off by Yuri, which is going to be a big, big deal at the long back straight. Scottish, Tutschke, and Paddy. Small train there that's close to each other and also very competitive. Jan getting a 3-second time penalty for multiple track limits violations. We're going to look at Arkid here as he's able to pull open that rear wing, whereas Robinho is not able to. So this is the speed difference between the two. Half a second gap at the start of this straight. Able to pull past easily and cleanly and put it ahead by 2/10, 4/10 in the braking zone. So that means that Arkid has just gained a second compared to Robinho, who's just lost a second, of course, compared to Arkid. All because of this DRS and the gap that Yuri pulled at the safety car restart. Very cleanly done from Arkid there, who now has to defend, and he's in the same position that Robinho was on the last lap. Scottish now desperate to cling on to the DRS as well from Tutschke, because he doesn't want to happen to him what happened to Robinho there. As Paddy's looking to attack as well. All of these cars opening the DRS in the front. You see Arkid not having that. Robinho maybe looking to do something else as Jan retires from the session in the pits. Looking very weird. That's already happened. Paddy now on the rear of Scottish. Even through these sections, it's very, very obvious that he wants that position. He has the pace to get it. Because if you can follow through these sections where you have that dirty air, you have the downforce working a little bit worse because all the air is turbulent. And of course the downforce works less effectively with the turbulent air. Arkid now has pulled a gap to Robinho as well. Robinho maybe making a mistake there, not getting that DRS, and Tutschke can send the attack now, doing exactly what Arkid did before. 3/10 at the start of the DRS zone. Tutschke pulling away, pulling past, and gaining about 6-7 tenths there, just on the DRS. But look at this. Tronzik is joining in on this battle, as Scottish seems to be holding up these drivers behind. Paddy taking some different lines, maybe looking in the mirror, scaring Scottish, making sure that he is going to compromise his line maybe in the next few corners, because he knows that Paddy might send it on, and every single time. There we have it already. A nice look from Paddy. As Scottish goes wide, forcing the mistakes is one of the many ways to gain the position, and Paddy is doing this perfectly right now. The example is very obvious. Here he goes on the side as Paddy. Scottish did not get the DRS. Unfortunately, Scottish sticking behind, almost trying to go for the take back, but Paddy gaining that position very cleanly. But Scottish has to watch out now. Tronzik is right behind him, and through this section is very difficult to follow, but he does it very well. The slipstream gives him a lot of overspeed, and now Scottish is trying to get that position back, was bumping into the rear of Paddy. As he gets a 3-second time penalty, all this aero wash has given him a lot of problems through this bit. There we have it, through the S's, a track limit violation, too much. It's given him a penalty. That's exactly what I predicted way at the start. Arkid not close enough to do anything. Robinho not close enough to do anything either. Which means that all of the standings at the top will still stay the same. So we see Scottish desperately trying to get that position back. Has a 3-second time penalty, so he knows that he has to take it back. And otherwise, he won't be able to pull a gap behind. Now, interestingly enough, Arkid has pulled back into the DRS of Yuri. Yuri pulled away so far from Robinho so early on. Scottish going wide once again, losing a lot of time. Will still have that DRS as he has already crossed the detection line. Will have to defend from Tronzik instead of attacking Paddy up front. Arkid still not close enough to make anything happen. Tronzik does not have the overspeed with that Williams. It's an absolute bullet on the straight line as they go 3 wide into turn 1. Shermanator sending it and getting the best out of that. Swanee also getting the position as Naismith has to back out and lose 2 positions because he did not have the DRS and these other 2 did. Getting through turn 1 as 3 wide is very impressive to do. Scottish and Tronzik now side by side almost. Scottish will have the DRS, just barely, but Tronzik looks very eager to gain that position off of him. So there's now more than a second gap. Scottish was within a second as they passed the line. Tronzik now with the overspeed there gets the position. So even with both drivers having the DRS, Tronzik just got the better of his rival. Shermanator now losing that position to Swanee as this little train here is battling for DRS. But look who joined the battle. It's Mihu, currently in 13th position. Dropped down a few places. Sparrow and Wazar are currently fighting as well. We saw Mihu and Naismith do the exact same. Mihu currently being in 12th position. Sparrow looking at the rear of Wazar. So Wazar and the Ferrari in the last season getting a phenomenal performance in the final few rounds. Not so much in the last round, but the final few rounds before that gave him a lot of confidence and a lot of momentum for Ferrari in the championship. He might be able to do something here. Divine Eye now overtaking Jaspers, who is currently in 18th position. The last driver still standing. Sparrow now getting really close to that Red Bull. Not able to catch up fully, but is in a favorable position at the end of Sector 1 and through Sector 2 at the end of the hairpin. So we'll be able to give a good look there. Paddy, the same story there. Tutschke is 2.5 seconds behind Arkid. The top 2 is just battling with the 2 of them. And this small train here from 3rd all the way down to 7th. Looking to hold positions, move positions. Robinho looking, but not making the move happen. Not sending it. Deciding to wait a little bit longer for the torpedo to be sent on the inside of Tutschke, who has some gap to clear. Shermanator now gets overtaken. Looks like he's got a bad exit there, as the onboard does not show his gearing properly. It says it's gear 6, but this is definitely not in 6th gear. I can tell you that much. And lost the position there to Swanee, who's currently in 10th. Tutschke now in trouble. Does not have DRS. Robinho does have DRS. This will be an easy overtake if done correctly, but a very difficult one if Tutschke goes for the defense. Does not, as we can see. Robinho going on the inside. Tutschke may be looking for the switchback because they're now equal on speed, but Robinho having a very good run there, being able to overtake easily enough. If we look a little bit further back, Paddy is here, ready to pounce as well. Tutschke will have the advantage of the DRS into the next zone, but maybe the descent will come before the hairpin into the corner. Paddy gets a good exit here and follows through cleanly. Scottish getting another 3-second time penalty. Paddy looking very close. Is he going to send it? No, he's not. He's not even going to look at it. Just going to wait patiently. Maybe trying to follow through. And he's very close now. We'll use the double slipstream with the DRS to maybe overtake Tutschke here. As Tutschke goes on the inside, going defensive this time around. Has enough speed, fortunately, with that DRS to be able to defend from the Mercedes. As we see Smith now getting real close to Scottish, the driver that has had so much potential starting in 4th. And what do we see here? Scottish going very wide, leaving up the door open for Smith to go through. And Smith taking that position very neatly there. As Wazza is now battling with Sparrow. Going defensive. Sparrow on the inside now doesn't go for it and leaves Wazza past. Slotting behind in 16th. Went for a very nice send. Then had to back off as Scottish goes into the pits and is the first driver to get in. And he was on the medium tire and he's retiring from the session. Very unfortunate on his end, but he had so many penalties already. So I don't think he'll have the motivation to even continue, as the grid is so very close. It's closer right now in the race than it was in qualifying, which is incredible to see. The top two still fighting and pulling away as we see a small mistake being made there. It looks like Paddy did not get away as well as he thought he would. Tronsik now behind him. There's a safety car being deployed. I believe that is in fact for Scottish, who is now at the end of the track and will be penalized. Jasper's a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. Wanted to get into the pits fast, but has to serve a drive-through now and wait another lap. Oh, he is pitting now, so he will get the tire change, but he does have that drive-through under his name. It does not matter, last place after all. Now the gap between Arkid and Robinho will be smaller. Unsure why that was cause for a safety car, as Scottish did DNF under normal conditions in the pit lane. So unsure why that had to happen. Jaspar's now speeding to make up for time. As Yuri goes into the pits. Sparrow gets a 5-second penalty for corner cutting. Yuri in the pits. We can see now all of these drivers joining in, lining up to go in. Smith, Remix might be looking to get in as well. Yep, he is. Swanee to Shermanator following right behind. Mihu also going in. Marios as well. So no drivers opting to gain track position. They're all looking to go into the pits and get their tire change done. So some changes in positions in the pits, but they should all even out at the end into the same leaderboard that we had before. So Yuri still up front, right behind the safety car. As we can have a little bit of a break. I can have to go drink some water, grab a quick snack, as the safety car will most likely be for another lap after this. We've got a few minutes. So be sure to grab some water, stay hydrated everyone, even though it's winter. Maybe it's summer if you live in the southern hemisphere. It's winter here, and it's very good to stay hydrated. Even though it's not that hot, you're probably still sweating a bit. I am for sure, because this race is pretty tense already. So stay hydrated, and I'll see you in a minute. It appears that my client has crashed, which is unfortunately. I am looking to get this all fixed. This is not supposed to happen. This is definitely not supposed to happen. It usually doesn't happen. But the one time that it's the season opener and I have to be there, it of course does that. On my way to boot it back up. Hopefully I'll get an invite. And hopefully I'll be back before the safety car period has ended. It had another lap in it. I don't know if they're going to be looking on their thingies. I'm actually going to switch to intermission real quick. Just so I can get this all fixed, get back in and not leak any usernames, any details that I should not be leaking. Hopefully, I can be in soon. If not, that would be very, very unfortunate. The only way I can get back in is if I can get another invite. I don't seem to be getting one. Which means that I currently have no way of returning back into the session. I also don't know if the drivers have the stream on or not, or are able to communicate, because you're not allowed to use the AI in any way, shape, or form at all. So pausing the game will start the AI. So I don't think anyone will be reading this or sending me an invite back. We're going to wait a little bit longer to see if I do get it back. But for now, it looks like I don't have a way back in. As soon as I heard the audio lagging and a little bit of feedback there, I knew that it was trouble. There's no way that my game crashes the one time that I actually need it. If I'm driving myself, I don't care if the game crashes. It always does. Actually never does, but when it crashes, it crashes. When I am driving myself, always issues with the wheels. But now that I need it, and this never crashed before while spectating, so this is something new. I currently don't think I'm getting an invite back, which means that this is where I'll be leaving it. Yeah, it has been 5 minutes since I left the session. They should have had a notification from that. Maybe. I don't know if they if you get notifications from spectators leaving. And it doesn't look like I'm getting anything back. I don't think I can join from here either. No, I cannot. So that means that I do not have a way back into the lobby. Which means that, unfortunately, I have to end the stream here. If you want to stay up to date with the results, you should get to the Divine Eye Racing Discord server. I do believe that is somewhere linked on this stream on this channel. Should have that at least somewhere, I believe. Yes, it is on the channel. There's an invite to the server, so if you want to keep up to date with the standings. And with the results of this race, of course. For now, that is all I could do for you tonight. I do apologize, because this, of course, you do not want this to happen on your season opener. So, yep, nothing we can do, unfortunately. Technical issues happen, and this is one of them. So, I hope you guys still all enjoyed the first part of the race and the qualifying, of course. And hopefully we'll have all of this fixed, or EA will have all of this fixed before the next race next week. So thank you all so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.